Well, we want to welcome you to In the Blender with Brandon and Madeline Hyman. And I tell you, we are so excited this evening for this week's episode. It's just been an awesome journey. Every Tuesday at 7:30 p.m., just sharing with our Facebook family and friends all the wonderful things that God has done in and through our lives as a blended family. And because of that, we just want to share with you guys some of the successful tips that we've learned and that we've applied to our lives and our marriage and our family. And we've been blessed because of it. And because we've been blessed, we want to share that blessing with you as well. So again, we want to welcome you to In the Blender with Brandon and Madeline Hyman. And I tell you, we're just so excited just to be sharing with you guys. Anything you want to say, sweetheart, before we get started?
Nope, just good evening, everyone. Welcome.
Well, I guess that was her spiel for tonight. But we just thank you guys for tuning in with us. Like I said, we're just so excited, bubbling up just over all that God has been doing in and through this broadcast within the Blender. It's been a tremendous blessing. We've been getting phone calls, texts, emails, and people just been stopping us, coming up to us. Hey, I seen you guys on Facebook. I love what you're doing. Keep doing it. It's needed. We appreciate you. And so we're excited just to be sharing this capacity, something that's been on our hearts to do for such a long time. But of course, we like to do things in order and in decency. And so when I got the release to get a little more busier, this was one of the things that we wanted to do. And so we thank you guys for tuning in every Tuesday at 7:30 sharp to In the Blender with Brandon and Madeline Hyman. Sweetheart, give us a recap on last week's broadcast.
Last week we talked about grandparents, how grandparents are wonderful resources in blended families. They have a lot to offer, such as unconditional love, family history, and their own life experiences.
And see, the great thing about last week, we really wanted to concentrate on grandparents. Again, blended families are more than just a husband and wife and children. There's your grandparents, there's your cousins, your nephews, your nieces, your uncles, your aunts. And so there are a lot of components that come together to make a blended family successful. And so we're going to be highlighting many different facets of the blended family so that we can encourage everybody in this blended family to let you know that you are appreciated, that you are desired, that you are well wanted, and that we understand, and that we just want to encourage you to continue to do what you need to do in order for this blended family to be a success. So go ahead and pick it up, sweetheart.
Another thing that we talked about, being negative with a child can serve to increase the child's sense of confusion, conflict of loyalties, and impact their self-esteem.
Yes. Go ahead.
Nothing. Okay. Be prepared for the conflicts of the biological and blended feelings in you if there are more than one set of children.
Exactly, and that's simply they're in the blended family. You may have biological as well as blended children coming together, and so there may be a lot of emotions that have been attached to one set over the other. And so deal with those emotions, deal with those feelings, because at the end of the day, what is. And so it's important that we move beyond our personal feelings and our personal emotions and understand that we have a responsibility to assist in the development and the nurturing of the blended family.
Correct. The blended family has its own special state of dynamics and behaviors. Be an impartial sounding board to your grandchildren. Regardless of the situation that brought you into the blended family dynamics, be honest with those feelings, whether it's from divorce or loss.
And that's what we talked about a little bit earlier, about being honest with those feelings. But again, we just wanted to give a recap. We want to encourage each of you, especially if it's your first time, to go to our webpage, our Facebook page, and make sure that you look at all the previous broadcasts, because there's a lot of things, especially the last week one, but there are a lot of things that we've covered that we always give a recap every week on what we covered in the previous week, just so you'll know if this is your first time tuning in, or if you missed an episode, you want to know what we discussed, so we give that recap. Talk about some of the statistics.
The first one is the average marriage in America lasts only 7 years.
Did you hear that, guys? The average marriage in America only lasts 7 years. 7 is supposed to be completion, perfection. And folks getting to that time and they quitting, they giving up, they throwing in the towel. And so it's important that even as a blended family, especially if this is your second go around, that guess what? Just because it didn't work the first time doesn't mean that it can't work the next time.
Correct.
And so we want to encourage you guys that where you are doesn't determine where you're going, and where you've been isn't a reflection of where you're going. And so we want to encourage you that with God, all things are impossible. To be encouraged, to understand that you're not in this by yourself. You're not the only one that have made some of the decisions that you made and have done some of the things that you've done. But in spite of it, you can still be a success. What's the next statistic?
75% of divorced people remarry.
And that's important because, again, if you go back 25 years, the dynamics of a family were a lot different than they are today. And with 1 out of every 2 people or couples getting a divorce, and 75% of those are remarrying, then now you have a blended family dynamic. The problem with that is a lot of people don't know that there are resources out there to help you be a success as you embark on the blended family. What's the next statistic?
Divorced parents spend less time, less disciplined, and are less sensitive to the children as they are caught up in their own divorce and its aftermath.
And this is a very sad but important statistic. And again, it says divorced parents spend less time, less discipline, and are less sensitive to the children as they are caught up themselves in their own divorce and aftermath. Understand something. These babies didn't ask to be here. Correct. They didn't ask to be a part of what we as parents placed them in. And so sometimes you just got to put on your big boy britches and your big girl underwear and do what you got to do to be a success so that your children aren't suffering for the things that the decisions you've made and the choices that you made. And not all choices are bad just because they have an ending that we don't like. But understand something, it's more than just you. This is more than just what you're going through. And if you don't shake yourself and awaken yourself and strengthen yourself, your children are going to suffer. So I just wanted to put that out. Again, we get statistics every week. Some of them are great, but then some of them are ones that make you want to scratch your head and say, what can I do to make a positive impact and change in this situation? Right. So tonight we want to talk about stability in the blended family.
You got people making comments too.
So we got a lot of comments coming in. Hey Delta, how's everything?
Jermaine.
Hey man, what's going on, man? Got Tamika. Got Rodney. Hey Chief.
Lenore.
I tell you, they just popping in. I'm so excited. Glad you guys are joining us. Because again, if you're not a blended family, guess what? You know somebody that is. And so these broadcasts are important. They're impactful. They're powerful. And so we just want to share with you to let you know that you're not in this by yourself, that you too can be a success, that with God all things are possible. There are just some principles, some applications that you have to apply in order to get those success desires in your life. And so we're going to talk about stability. Everybody loves stability. Everybody loves to be stable. But guess what? Without the proper tools, without the proper utensils, without the proper equipment, their stability is not going to just pop out of the sky. It's not going to just happen. And so we want to talk about some things that will allow you and enable you to be stable in the blended family. Give them the first one.
Our first point we have is family stability isn't contingent on whether you live in a first marriage, blended marriage, or single-parent family, but more particularly on the environment that the parents create for their kids, such as an atmosphere of regularity.
And again, like she said, like she just read, family stability isn't contingent on whether you're a first-time marriage or a blended family or even a single parent. It's not contingent on any of those things, but more particularly on the environment that you set up. And so it's important that in this blended family, because that's what we talk a lot about, the blended family, that you set an environment that's conducive to success. You set an environment that's conducive to stability and joy and peace and love, because those are the things that inevitably are going to set your family apart from other families.
What's some of the what's like something they can do to make it stable?
Have family meetings, get together. When you're preparing dinner, everybody be a part of that.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Set a positive atmosphere. Make it a practice to always compliment each other. Make it a practice to always uplift each other. Make it a practice to share with each other and show patience with each other. Mm-hmm. Those are the things when you're setting the atmosphere, because at the end of the day, whether you're the parent or whether you're the child, life can present some challenges. Life can be a little bit unfair. And so when you come home to the safe haven, right, that's the last place you want to fight. That's the last place you want disorder. That's the last place you want to feel like things aren't stable. And so it's important to set the atmosphere. It's sort of like when you started dating your spouse. You know, when you went out, you set the atmosphere. Mm-hmm. But a lot of times, once we get what we want, then we forget to set atmospheres for what else we want. And so what you was going to say something, sweetheart?
No, I was going to say, like, even like when we were coming up, one thing that we always did was you ate dinner together. If you didn't sit down and eat, or you wasn't in that house when everybody was sitting down to eat, you wasn't going to eat. It was like something that they made sure that was done. Everybody sat down and ate together at the same time.
No, the reality is, if you wasn't there, somebody was going out to get you. And so that created stability. And so what it also did was it created an expectation that this was going to happen each and every time. And so again, people love regularity, especially children. And when you want to set that stability in their home, especially in a blended family, show stability. You know what I'm saying? Don't be up one minute, down the next. Happy one minute, sad the next. You know, glad one minute, depressed the next. Show some stability and some regularity in your actions, in your behavior, in the things that you do, and you will see stability begin to flourish in the blended family. What's the next point?
This one's kind of long, but we have use the proper navigational system. If a blended parent is always battling with his or her ex, research shows that the child or children will suffer. He or she is close, but if he or she is close to the ex, the new spouse may feel anxious and insecure. To top that off, the child may not view the blended parent as a real parent for the first few years, even if, and parents in the second marriage may treat their biological children different from their blended children.
In that point, it was a lot. That was like a gumbo point. You know what I'm saying? You put a lot in there because it's good, but it all works together. It all gives the proper flavor so that you can really absorb it and really get the nutrients and the love out of all that we put into that particular point. But it says use the proper navigational system. And it's important because where you want to go, you need to know that, guess what? There's a way I can get there. A lot of times we're going places or we're trying to get somewhere without any clue on how to get there. And so this right here is setting up the navigation. If a blended parent is always battling with his or her ex, research shows this, that the child or the children suffer. So it's important that if you want to build this stability, you can't show the child that there's no harmony with the other parent. Regardless of decisions that you made now, there has to be harmony. The great thing was, and the guys heard us talk about this on one of the earlier broadcasts, I refused to argue with my son's mother. That was one thing I refused to do. Because first of all, I didn't want to set that tone in my home. I didn't want to set that tone with my children, and I didn't want to set that tone with my son. And so because of that, regardless of what his mother didn't like or the choices, decisions that I made that really didn't have anything to do with her, I just wouldn't argue. I said my piece, I made my point, but then I moved on because I wanted to show him how to respect a woman. I wanted to show him that regardless of your disagreements or your disapprovals or your dislike, you can still say what you need to say and be respectful and be honorable. And so it's important that we don't show kids that. And then what was the second part of that, sweetie?
Where? The top part? I mean, where do you want me to start?
Okay, but if he or she is close to the ex, the new spouse may feel anxious or insecure. And so that's the other part of it. You got to monitor these things. And one of the things that we did was we drew a line in the sand. Mm-hmm. These are the conversations we was going to have, and these are the conversations we weren't going to have. And if somebody try to cross that line, you gut check them. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you got to gut check folks, because sometimes when you move on, folks kind of find, they kind of say some things they ain't got no business saying, and try to rehash some stuff they ain't got no business trying to rehash. And so it's important that as a blended family and as a blended parent and as a spouse, that you draw that line in the sand so that there be no insecurities, so that there be no problems, because if the husband and the wife got issues, that's going to spill over to the children, right, which will ultimately affect the blended family and the family at large itself. And so it's important that we do those. And then to top that off, you know what I'm saying, you got to make sure that the biological children aren't treated differently than the blended children. And that's one thing we did. We made sure that, it wasn't no favoritism. Now, I may have my favorite, but that don't mean I'm going to show favoritism. Because at the end of the day, I'm God's favorite. And so you might be saying on the other end, you God's favorite. But guess what? He loves us the same. He cares for us the same. Now, there are some benefits that come with being a favorite, but that's because you're doing what he asked you to do. And so, but you don't seek out to divide and separate your children, right, based upon whether they're biological or they're blended. And so these are important because this sets a foundation and stability in that relationship. What's the next one, sweetheart?
Build a strong marital bond because it will benefit everyone.
Oh man, I think that's my favorite right there. You build that strong marital bond. This girl right here, this is my boo, my bae. You see it, right? I got her. I got her, boy. That's
waiting to see what you gonna say.
You think I'm gonna say something I ain't got no business saying? I might. Some might slip out. But this is my, oh my goodness, this is my thing right here. And my kids know, my grandkids know. If you want to get me off, do something to this one right here. This woman right here is like, people say ride or die. All of those adjectives that would describe a great woman, a good woman, a virtuous woman. This is her right here. And so it's important that, you build that foundation in that marriage relationship. What I do for her. You know what I'm saying? When things happen to me, it's as if it never happened because I don't want her to suffer because of it. And sometimes I can move a little bit too much and she don't know how much I'm hurting, just because I don't want her to see me hurt, because it's important for me to be her hero. It's important for me to be her strength. And so read that point again, sweetie.
Build a strong marital bond because it will benefit everyone.
That's important. Don't let the kids see y'all divided.
Correct.
You know what I'm saying? Don't let the kids play y'all against each other. One thing about our kids, they know. If you say something to me, I'm checking with her. And she know if they say something, check with me. Because you got to watch. Kids are very smart. They're very crafty. Whether they're young or whether they're old. And so you have to make sure that you guys have a unified front, that you're so strong that they know if I say something to mama, she going to talk to daddy. If I say something to daddy, he's going to talk to mama. Because they have to know that we're not going to be able to do anything that's going to be able to divide that. But not only that, what's important is you set a foundation for them, because we're talking about setting a foundation and stability.
Right.
What you do now is, even though you guys have a blended family, or even if this is your first time family, what you do is you let them know that this is the way things should be. And that regardless of circumstances, situations, you guys are going to be unified, you're going to be one, and you're gonna show them what success looks like.
Correct.
And so, what's the next point, sweet?
Work with the therapists who are specifically trained in blended families, if you have to, you know.
And it's important. And sometimes you might don't think you have to, but if you sit back and assess some of the decisions that you make, some of the choices that you make, especially going into the blended family, you know what I'm saying, or in the blended family, but you keep making bad choices and bad decisions, make sure that you seek help, that you seek someone that's qualified to assist you to your next place in life.
Yeah, even somebody that's been successful in a blended family.
Yes, but I wanted exactly. But I wanted to highlight a therapist, because May is what? Mental Health Awareness Month. And so, you know what I'm saying, we always pointing back to those things that will assist you, that will equip you, that will give you the tools that are necessary to be a success, whether it's in a blended family or just in life, period.
Right.
And so, you know, we got a fair at our ministry that's coming up real soon, and we're going to make sure that we share that with you guys on our Facebook pages so you can tune into that as well. But make sure that you're seeking that help, that you're seeking that guidance. That doesn't mean there's something wrong with you. That just means you want better. You know what I'm saying? A lot of times when you say the word therapy or therapist or counseling, you know what I'm saying, it has such a negative connotation. But at the end of the day, you know what I'm saying, when your back is hurting, you want to get better, you go see a therapist, you go see a chiropractor, and you don't look at that as someone bad. You look at that as someone that's assisting you. You know what I'm saying? That's going to help you. If those feet hurting, you're going to see somebody that's going to help you. And so the same thing it is with your relationship, with your marriage, and even with yourself. If you want better, seek people that can assist you in getting better.
Correct.
So what's the next point, sweetie?
All right, the next one's a little long. We wrote down. Rituals can act like glue that holds the family together. Any event that the family loves and does together can be a ritual.
Any
event. Such as a special dinner each week. We kind of talked about working out together or working on a hobby. Events that feel special serve as to provide stability and bring the family closer together. Allow children to have input on establishing family rituals because it helps them feel what they are important.
See that's when you know you got vision enhancers and you cute and you don't want to put them vision enhancers on. You know, the words be
you read it, Dan.
The words be jumping all over the page. You know what I'm saying?
You read this point.
Yeah, she's so cute. She don't want to put them enhancers on. You see much I see her natural beauty. You know what I'm saying? But she's still cute with them enhancers as well. You know, but again, rituals can act as they can be a special dinner. You know, if your family like pork chops on Friday, guess what? That's stability. That's an expectation. But make it something good though. You know, Dr. Mike talk about that casserole. My bad, Dr. Didi. I'm not talking about your tuna casserole. But Dr. Mike talked about that casserole. That was a ritual. That was something that the family expected all the time. You know what I'm saying? So if there's something that you can do, you know, to provide that stability to the family, you do it. If it's working out together, we got to, you know, my wife, she's a personal trainer. You know, I'm throwing out a plug out there, all y'all that's trying to get in shape. This the one y'all want to call, y'all want to contact. You know, but we're working on a couples workout. And so, you know, these things are just awesome. You know, she just popped me talking about, you weren't supposed to share that. You know, but again, we're just sharing with you guys because these are the things that, you know, are going to just enhance, it's going to build up, you know, and it's going to take it starts stability. What it does is it brings you closer together, you know, because she loves for me to work out with her. She gets up early. She gets up before I do.
You don't get up when I get up.
I said she loves for me to work out with her. I didn't say I work out with her. And so that's the difference. You know, listening is fundamental too. And so, you know, but she loves.
So stop asking me to read.
But no, I used to work out with her, but she just gets up at 4 o'clock. You know, I like getting up at 5 o'clock.
10 minutes to 4.
She gets up at 10 minutes to 4. I like to get up at 10 minutes to 6. And so I want to get my sleep. And so, you know, and we working on that though, but
that's right, Delta.
You better believe it, Delta.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I'm not there yet. I'm working on it. But again, working out with your spouse and with your children as well. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Showing them how to be physically fit. You know, if you're washing the car, wash the car with your kids. give them something to look forward to. Going for a ride, going to the park. It doesn't have to be something that you're spending a lot of money on. It doesn't have to be something that's going to take you out. You know what I'm saying? But it can be something that you do on a regular basis. And so we want to make sure that you're doing those things, that you're showing some stability, some regularity, because people love regularity. Right. And so these are the things that's going to help stabilize your blended family. What's the next point, sweetie?
Would you finish with saying on that one?
I'm going to finish with that one because we ran out of time.
Find silver linings in adversity. Always seek to learn from everything that you go through. There's a strength and a stability that comes out of conquest, so make sure that you take good notes. Exactly.
Find a silver lining in adversity. And what I mean by that is, even though things get rough, even though things may be hard, there's always something that you can look at and you can say, you know what, that was awesome. And regardless of, whether, I give a great example. About 2 months ago, I was in a car accident that totaled my vehicle. The silver lining in that was I was able to walk away. Mm-hmm. Although I lost my vehicle and I was without a vehicle for almost 2 months, the silver lining was I still have my life. I still have my health. I still have my strength. The crazy thing about it was, even when I was in the ambulance and they were taking my blood pressure, they were looking at me in amazement because my blood pressure right after the accident was 120/80. And so that's a silver lining. I had some pain and some things that I was dealing with internally, but, I didn't have any fractures, no breakages. And so that was a silver lining. And we just want to encourage you that in any adversity, especially in this blended family dynamic, look for a silver lining. Because what you think isn't a silver lining could just be the silver lining that you can always go back to. You can always draw back on. And you can look at that, and when the next adversity comes, you can say, if he did it before, he can do it again. Same God now. You know what I'm saying? And so it's important to look for that silver lining. What was the other parts of that, sweet?
That's it.
Always what? Always seek to learn from everything that you go through. After you seek a silver lining, right, then seek to learn. You know what I'm saying? Seek to learn what is it that from this that I've gone through that I can learn. Because guess what? It might not just be for you, but it could be for someone else. Again, this broadcast is not just for us, but it's for our many Facebook friends and family, right, and your Facebook friends and family, that you can at least learn from some of the things that we've gone through and right, that we've overcome and that we've become a success in, and then you can apply it to your daily living. And then the last is understand that there's a strength and stability that comes out of conquest, conquering. The Bible says we overcome by the blood of the Lamb and what else? The word of our testimony. And so this is our testimony, and we're so excited to share it with you guys. We're so excited to let you guys in on our lives. We're open book. There's no closed chapters of our life. We just want to share it with you guys so that you too can absorb this and learn from it and grow from it, and that your marriage can be blessed and awesome. And you can look at her like I look at her. You can look at your spouse like I look at my spouse. You know what I'm saying? And I can't wait to get off this broadcast.
What's happening?
How you say no? What's happening? I just can't wait to get off this broadcast.
Come on, go back to the lesson.
Oh, this girl is funny. I'm telling you, but she is funny. But no, we thank you all for tuning in to In the Blender.
Some gross.
Gross? How you think you got here?
Sleep today.
Yeah, okay. We thank you, for tuning in to In the Blender with Brandon and Madeline Hyman. Again, we enjoy this time with you guys. It's just been such a blessing. Give them our email address, sweetie.
We are a blendedfamily@gmail.com.
And what is that for?
It's for emails. They can send questions, comments, contact us for, whatever they may need.
And so, again, if you have any questions, any concerns, anything you want us to discuss on an upcoming episode, send it to We Are a Blended Family.
Or any questions they want to ask us. Anything, that they may not want to ask while we're online, but they want to send it in and ask us personally, they can send it right to
We are a blended family at gmail.com. Because guess what? We don't have no problem with answering any and every question that you guys may have. Because we're going to talk about, you see, I'll slip up and say something in a minute anyway. So, again, if you have any questions, any comments, anything you want us to address, send it to weareblendedfamily at gmail.com. Thank you, guys. We love you guys. See you on next Tuesday at 7:30 sharp. To what, sweetheart? We are a blended family.
No, in the blender with Brandon and Madeline
Hyman. I just want to see if she's paying attention. We love you guys. God bless you.
All right. Good night, everyone.
We'll see you on next week. Bye-bye.